Welcome to the Brothers in Influence podcast, where we stand to encourage, inspire, and add value in the areas of life, leadership, and community. I'm your host, Ian Williams.
And I'm Sherrod Ledet.
And I'm Shante Price, and together we are the Brothers.
And we are privileged to bring you a special guest who's going to bring the influence. Let's get it. Hey, listen, it's the Brothers in Influence podcast. Hey, I'm excited today. Got a very special guest, real good friend, Mr. Dale Morgan. And hey, man, listen, if you're tuning in, hey, you get ready for a treat. My man Dale, he's gonna give you some. Hey, you know this guy, right? You've seen him around. He's been on TV. Matter of fact, I probably need to get this man's autograph because he is gonna be famous. Right.
But hey, Dale.
Hey, yeah, absolutely, man. Hey, so hey, I appreciate you being on the show today. Definitely wanted to invite you because you definitely are a brother out here in Lexington, Kentucky, having a very big impact and influence in the lives of young people and within our community. But you know, let me keep it structured, right? Okay. So let me just introduce Mr. Dale Morgan. Mr. Dale Morgan is a native of Lexington, Kentucky. He graduated from Henry Clay High School, and he's earned his bachelor's of art in accounting from Eastern Kentucky University. Prior to his position as the investment analyst for Lexington-Fayette urban county government. Got to say that slow.
Right.
Yeah, Dale was an accountant for both Purdue University and the University of Kentucky College of Agriculture, Food, and Environment. Now, the thing I can tell you about this brother that I know, he's all money. He's all money. So, hey, Dale, just tell us a little bit about yourself, man. How did you get to where you are today?
Well, Sherrod, I believe that with anything, when people ask, how'd you get to today, right? I don't believe it was one certain thing that motivated individuals to get to where they were. I believe it was a combination of life events and happenings, right? I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna just tell you a story that, you know, so when I was in elementary school, well, let me back up. So I was I grew up below the poverty line. I grew up on government assistance, those kind of things, coming up as a young child and adolescent. So, and sometimes when you're in that environment, you don't know that you're in an environment that you're in. You're just unaware to your surroundings and your socio-economic situation as well. So I had a friend in elementary school. He was a Caucasian individual. And I went over his house one day after school. And the school, so some of the elementary school that we went to, you know, we had to be bussed in. I lived like way across town. But my friend lived probably 2 blocks from the school. So that kind of showed you, by those standards terms, it probably wasn't an affluent neighborhood or whatnot, you know. So I just remember going to his house and walking in his house, and I immediately noticed that his living conditions were far more better than what mine were. But it was still like, oh, okay, whatever. So we got in and we played and his mom fixed us lunch and we ate food and we had a good time. And so when it was time for us to go back home, for him to take me back home, so as we started driving to my neighborhood and stuff, the neighborhood I lived in. So this apartment building, when I took him in, my friend was walking me into the apartment building, right? And to me, this is home. This is what I've known for the past 12 years, whatever, whatnot. But when I looked at him, it was the way his body reactions and his facial expressions was like a look of disgust, like, oh man, here's kind of a thing. And so that was the first, and I remember him saying, oh, this stuff is old in here, right? You know, just because it was where we living at. It wasn't an ideal situation by no means, but it was home and it was out of my control, right? And I just remember in that moment, he was the first person to open my eyes up to my living condition, to my socioeconomic condition in that moment. And it was nothing I could do about it at that time. It was what it was. So as I got older and started going through my life, I was just a lot of these things were happening. Was like, why are we living from check to check, and why can't I get some of those things that other people in my community may or may not be getting, or that those other affluent kids at school that I saw were getting. Why couldn't I get those kind of things? And I just always logged it in the back of my head, and I just kind of went on with my everyday life because it was it was what it was. So once I got older, when I first initially went to college, I was trying to be a physical therapist, and for whatever reason, I found out that wasn't what I wanted to do. And so my second stint in college, because I had left college and just came home and worked, I decided that I'm going to major in accounting. And that kind of brought me up to speed with personal finances and things of that nature. So after getting my accounting degree from Eastern Kentucky University, I started working at Purdue, as you stated. But it was during my time at UK that I had an individual approach me and say, hey, I got a group of kids over. Can you come over here and talk to them about budgeting? And I had never given a presentation before in my life, on that matter. So I just kind of put a PowerPoint together, and I just went and talked to these kids about budgeting, basic budgeting stuff, and they loved it. And the lady asked me, "Can you come back next month?" And I think I was doing it all the time. And then it started to turn into, well, I have another group of individuals who know if you can come talk to their kids, and it kind of snowballed after that, right? And then it came to, well, how much would you charge to come talk to these individuals, kind of a thing. So that's kind of how I got started in the financial literacy, and I was really feeling good about it because, for one, I was giving back. I was teaching these kids and individuals the things that nobody took the time to teach me. That I pretty much learned on my own, and so that's kind of how I got started in with my company in financial literacy.
Hey, that is an amazing story, man, and you're absolutely right. Like, I'm trying to even think. I mean, I've been through several layers of education, right? Your master's degree and all that. And and I don't remember, definitely in high school, talking about finances, right? Budgeting, checking, and all those different things, man. So yeah, I love that. And I love the story. And you definitely are out there giving back. I've seen multiple times where you've been speaking. So that basically has you given birth to your Foundation 47, right? Yeah. Foundation 47. Yeah. So that is a financial literacy program that you provide to young kids in college, high
school, junior high, those kind of things, and some adults as well. So another thing, Sherrod, too, is that I absorb every position that I've had, like when I was at Purdue, UK, and then here in the mayor's office, the finance department. I absorb information, and once I got privy to it, they have this term that they call the Gini coefficient, right? And what that does, it measures wealth gap disparities between whatever geographical area, and so basically you have so if you have a 0.2 Gini coefficient, that's kind of, you have your wealth that's evenly distributed. So at that time, I think the Gini coefficient for Kentucky was like a 0.476, which was almost a 5. Then if 2 was being ideal, Kentucky was almost at a 5. Meaning that the wealth distribution, there was a big gap between the wealth distribution. And I was always like, why does it have to be like that? So that was just another motivating factor in me starting my business and just trying to give back and go back and teach people these things that I was never known, that nobody told me about, especially particularly investing. What is that? Compound interest, those things of that nature.
Right, man. Listen, I didn't even know nothing about that. What the Gini what?
What'd you call it? Coefficient.
Gini coefficient. Yeah. Hey, listen, if you're watching if you're watching right now, take notes. Gini coefficient. Right, my man, Mr. Morgan is dropping some knowledge right now. So there's that gap, and we all know about that financial gap, right? That disparity between just various different levels of income and different things like that. So, man, let me ask you another question. Like, so when we think about success, right? Okay. When we think about success, like, what does that look like for you now? Like, what are you doing now to prepare for even further and future success for yourself and for your business?
Okay, so it's a great question too, Sherrod. To me, when I think about success from the younger me, it was always what I had saw on TV or what people told me success was, right? Again, when I initially went to college, I thought I wanted to be a physical therapist. Why? Because that was a prestigious title, and 2, I thought I could make a lot of money. but that was not really what I wanted to do. And what changed my mind to that was I did I was at the University of Louisville, and I did an internship at a physical therapy place there. And I got hands-on training, and I was like, man, this is not what I want to do. I don't care how much money I'm making. I do not want to get up every day and do this. This is not what I want. This is not what I want to do. And so I kind of set out of college and just came home and worked. But I think for me, when you're coming up, a lot of times you have these outside influences on success. You have your parents, your peers. Let's say if you grow up and your parents, both your parents are doctors or lawyers. Well, they may try to push you into being a doctor or lawyer, but that may not really be for you, right. or your peers. Or if you say, well, my friends over here and there are dentists, so I'm gonna be a dentist because my best friend's a dentist. Well, your best friend's a dentist because they picked that, maybe. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't necessarily mean that's good for me, right? So I always say that you define what success is to you. If you're happy with don't let money define what your success is to you, and what job title to define what success is to you. If you're happy being a social worker and that social worker only pays you $50,000 a year, and you can manage your fiscal responsibilities on that $50,000 a year, then hey, that's great. If you want more, you can do things to get more. But I think for me, defining what success means to me and not what it means for other people, right? Mm-hmm. That's what I've come to believe.
Right. Yeah. And that's great, man, Dale. You bring up some really good points, right? Because I mean, if you think about just society that we live in now, social media, and just everything, like there are so many messages out there that kind of even persuades or influences what we define as success, or what success looks like. Right. There's just so many different images, but you're absolutely right. No one can define success for yourself but you. Right. But let's even let's bring it more to what it is you do. When we think about success and financial literacy, how does financial literacy help when you are looking to be successful in whatever you're trying to do? How does financial literacy help?
Look at it like it's Sherrod. Okay, let's say. So a couple of years ago, through the Lexington Community Action Council, I did what they call a poverty simulation, right? And they had all these different scenarios set up for basically families can go through and just everyday life of somebody living in poverty or below the poverty line kind of thing. And one of the things that I took from that was, and then I was no stranger to poverty, but it gave me a different perspectives of poverty, the perspective of your parents, the perspective of other individuals being in poverty. And one of the things that it reminded me of is that when your finances are not straight, if you're constantly worried about, you're finally in financial duress, or just you can't meet your debt obligations, you don't have time to focus on any other thing, because you worried about, if I come home, my lights might be off, or I need to get these kids need to have coats and shoes on their back. So I can't even, every minute of the day, I'm focused on, or I'm worried about just that aspect of my life. So how can I focus on anything else, that any of my aspirations, any of my hopes and dreams, when I'm just trying to keep the lights on, and the gas on, and the roof over my table, right? And it's a true story. When I was coming up one time, we were in the dead of winter, Sherrod, and our gas was off in our house in the dead of winter. How do you focus? You can't focus on anything, because when I come home, I was just trying to stay warm, right? So that's kind of the one that I say, if you can get those finances straight in order. One of the things, I used to be one of those individuals who, anytime I felt any financial strain or stress, or I couldn't meet any of my debt obligations, to me, I always thought the solution was, I need to get another job making more money. When in actuality, that's not the solution, right? It's not the solution, because if you don't change your spending habits, the more money, I know people now making $150,000 a year, and you wouldn't know it because of the way their financial money mismanagement, right? So you have to change that mindset. And when you know how it feels, just imagine yourself how it feels to know when all your bills are paid, you have extra disposable income, you relax, you're trying to figure out something else to do because you're not worried about all that other stuff, right?
Yeah. No, those are some really good points, Dale, man. So hey, again, if y'all tuning in and listening, please listen, take notes. He's giving you some real good information on financial literacy. So hey, Dale, I want to kind of keep you in your train of thought, man. So just again, what with Brothers of Influence, we're all about life, leadership, and community. So I want to jump kind of into this leadership aspect. So when we think about leadership and financial literacy, and I kind of heard a little bit of it in what you were just kind of describing now, but how do you compare the two? How do you see financial literacy and leadership coming together?
Okay, Sharaf. Let's say if you are familiar with that term, do as I say, not as I do, right?
Very much so.
Right. And I'm gonna keep it simple with you. So I have a 20-year-old daughter, right, and a 10-year-old son. If I'm always preaching, and I always say my daughter was my first financial pupil. Those car rides home from volleyball practice, just picking her up from school, the weekends, just sitting around watching TV, having conversations, and I'm always throwing financial stuff at her. You know, the budget, you need to save money. You know, don't waste your money on. You don't need to spend $250 for a pair of tennis shoes, right? But if I'm telling her these things, but I'm not practicing it, if I tell her don't spend $250 on a pair of tennis shoes, and then I go out and do it, do you see how there's going to be that gap in communication? Because yeah, you're telling me to do this thing, but you're not practicing it yourself, right? So that's how I say the money set and mind responsibility, and also too is what are you valuing? You know, what are you valuing? Because when you change, as you grow older, ideally what you value should change, right? So that should change your spending habits for some, not all, right? So it's just practicing what you preach in terms of financial literacy and being a leader in that capacity as well.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. That's a great way to put that, right? So you're basically saying, as leaders, to be able to influence the right type of behaviors in our spending, don't just tell our kids, or just don't tell people how they need to spend their money.
Right.
Show them how to do it, and then reinforce it with the lesson. Hey, listen, that's leadership, right? Hey, that's leadership. That's influencing the right behaviors when it comes to financial literacy.
Hey, man, that's what I didn't have as a kid coming up myself, but I just learned those things the hard way, right?
Right. Yeah, which is, usually the case, right? Like we end up, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, there's not any person that's listening to this, or anybody who knows, if they've been living a little bit, know that, again, not everything is taught to you at one time, right? A lot of the stuff is on the job training, right? Yeah. Like this thing called life is for real. Yeah. It's serious out here on these streets, man. Right. So a lot of times
I always tell people, man, once you graduate high school, reality kicks in, because it's sometimes once you graduate high school, a lot of those people that are doing certain things for you, they don't do those things anymore because you're an quote unquote adult now. Now, people still help you along the way, but once you get to out of high school at 18, 19, and 20, hey, reality starts to set in.
Yeah. So hey, man, let's let me ask you this question, right? So let's just when you think about your journey, where you've been in life and in your leadership when it comes to financial literacy, what were some of the challenges that you faced, and then how did you overcome those challenges when it comes to financial literacy?
I think the first thing, Sharad, is just realizing that I was financially illiterate, right? Just realizing that, hey, I need my finances.
Hey, so I'm gonna have to pause you real quick, right? I had to pause you real quick because you went past that too fast. You said first thing you had to do was identify that you were financially illiterate.
Right. Yes, sir.
Right. Yeah. That you didn't have the information.
I didn't have the information, and nobody never taught me the information. And it was literally when my finances changed for me, Sharad, is when I sat down and I actually made a budget, man. I made a budget for myself. At the time, I was living paycheck to paycheck, or I had little disposable income. I was like, man, I can't keep living like this. So I sat down and I made out a budget, and I went through line item. And the budget is simple: how much money you got coming in, how much money you got going out. Those resources, how you allocating those resources. You have a limited supply, a limited amount of resources, and how are you allocating those resources, right? So I sat down, and once I did that line item budget, I realized, hey, man, I'm giving Applebee's $350 a month for margaritas and wings. Right?
The wings are good, but they don't know if they that good though.
They're good. So I decided, you know what? But one of the key things that I tell people is that we know what we should do and what we shouldn't be doing, but the key is, do we act on those things that could fix that for us, right? Do we act on it? So I immediately said, I'm going to cut that Applebee's down to $100 a month. You know what, guys? I love going watching the NFL on Sundays with you guys, and we have a good time. But hey, it's hurting me financially. I can't keep up with you guys in that regard. So I'm gonna have to cut this down to once a week as opposed to Sunday night, Monday night, and Thursday night football, right? Right? We're gonna pick a night that I can be there, right? So those are one of the things that when my finances turned for me. And then after I did that, I went through line item, and I saw ways I could cut back. Because you have variable expenses, you have fixed expenses. Fixed expenses being your rent, your car payment, your mortgage. Okay, that's what it's gonna be every month. But those expenses that I could control, I went through and I cut back on those expenses, which in turn, and after about 6 months to a year, my disposable income started going up. And then after a while, it was like, oh, I got this extra money. What can I do with this extra money? Well, oh, maybe I could invest in that 401k with this company that I work for that matches me 6% that I haven't even been contributing to, because I think I need all my money now.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Budgeting. I would definitely say that budgeting was the biggest turn point for me when it came to financing, or just learning how to manage my finances, right? Like you said, and it's real simple, right? How much money you got coming in and how much is going out. Right. When the money that's going out is more than the money that's coming in, that's a problem. Right? That's the problem, right? Yeah, most definitely. Well, hey man, as we're going to wrap this up, I got one more question to kind of put a bow on this thing for us, right? So when we think about life, leadership, and community, right? What would be the one thing that you would give our audience right now, our listeners, our viewers? What would be the one thing that you would give them from a financial literacy standpoint that can help them in all three of those aspects of just life, leadership, and entrepreneurship when it comes to financial literacy?
Okay, I will say in terms of in life, Sherrod, because I believe people don't become what they want; they become what they believe. Right? You become.
Absolutely.
People become what they want, and there's been this narrative kind of painted for certain marginalized and underrepresented groups of individuals, and sometimes us as individuals, if we fall into that category, we feed into that, right? We feed into what people tell us we can and what we can't do. And another thing that I'll say is a lot of things impacting some of our communities is that people don't value life, right? We need to start valuing life again. Some people are numb to the loss of life. If you don't value life, you're not going to do anything to improve your life because you don't value your life or anybody else's life, right? So first thing I say, you have to value life. And then once you value your life and those lives around you, you will do things to help improve your life. In terms of financial literacy, taking that first step to say, you know what? I got all of these bills over here that have piled up on me for the past couple of years. I'm going to make a plan of action, an action plan to get these bills paid off. I'm going to use some debt stacking techniques to pay these bills off, right? And once you make that decision to do that, and once you start doing it, it's kind of like, I give you an example with my daughter. When I started her bank account, and I had her putting some of her check in there. Once she started seeing that it was, as savings account was, okay, well, I got $200 in there this month. Now I got $250. Now I got $275. Now I got $350. Once she started seeing that bank account grow, then it was easy for her. She'd have me on her back every month saying, how much did you put in there? She did it on her own. It got to the point where, hey, Dad, look at this. I put $100 in this month, right? You know what I'm saying? So again, once people start to see the value in something, is when that will change for them.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. That's amazing. So listen, as we're wrapping this thing up, man, if I'm not mistaken, you had the opportunity to write a book.
Yes, sir, I did. I'm really grateful because that was something I always wanted to do. Something I
Okay,
always
well,
wanted.
tell us a little bit about that book you were able to write.
So it's kind of a growth and gratitude book. I was able to co-author with a couple of individuals, thanks to Sherrod and Mr. Matthews as well. And it's basically it's about the three people who have played a big part of influencing me in my life, and I'm very grateful, and I'm grateful to those individuals. Uh, and I was very happy to do it. It was one of those things to Sherrod in life where I kept telling myself, I'm gonna write a book. I'm gonna write a book. And then, like I said, with you and Mr. Matthews came along, y'all allowed me that opportunity and gave me that platform to do it, and I'm very grateful for that. And I think it should be out within the next month or so. So I hope people will go out and buy it. I've sold a few copies here, and I'm hoping I can sell some more because I'm hoping this to be the beginning of multiple books for me.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. You sold how many? A few?
I've sold a few so far.
Okay, we'll just go with you just sold a few.
Right.
Yeah, I got you. Hey, listen, man. So how can so again, anybody's tuning in and listening right now. I'm on this call right now, or on this podcast with Dale Morgan. He is a financial literacy teacher, coach, I mean, listen, he does everything money, right? Everything money.
Right.
And he's just been impacting, I know for a fact, Lexington, Kentucky and surrounding counties. He's just been going around and just giving knowledge and information on the importance of finances, budgeting, and just being able to understand what that does and the impact it has on our lives. So, hey, listen, if there was anybody who wanted to kind of collaborate with you, what are the type of partnerships or type of things that you're looking to do as far as the collaboration to help get your message and stuff out there?
I'm looking for anybody who's willing to make a change in their community, right? Anybody who's willing to turn around and reach up and grab somebody and bring them with you, right? I believe, Sherrod, that in terms of success, is that how can we as leaders, as community leaders or leaders in our homes or whatnot, how can we wake up every day and look in the mirror, but we don't care about what's happening in our community? Do something. How can we do that? I cannot consciously come to work, get up every day, and I'm doing good. I'm making X amount of dollars, and I'm living in this kind of a house. I'm living in this neighborhood. But even if I'm not still living in the same neighborhood that I grew up from, I know what it's like living in that neighborhood, and I know that there's people still there. And for me, it's like a lot of times people, you just have to give people the information. Now, sometimes you don't know how receptive they'll be to the information, but if you just give it to them and then give them a choice and show them a way, not only give it to them, but okay, this is how you, I'm giving you this information and this is how you can make this happen. So I'm looking for anybody that wants to collaborate with me. If you have an intrinsic heart and you want to actually help the people around you, the people of your community, and help people better themselves.
Yeah, I love it, Dale. I love it. I mean, I think what is it? Each one teach one.
Right.
Each one teach one, right? Like, so again, I love it because you're absolutely right. Like, we've all been there. Right. And here's the crazy thing, Dale. We're one decision away. Right. We can make the wrong decision, and that wrong decision can be so catastrophic, right? Yeah. That now will it set you back? Yes. But does that mean you're done? No. Right. But that's why it's so important, to your point, that we have to get the information. Once you get the information, listen, right, then it's what you do with the information. I heard it said this once, like, life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% of what you do with it. Right. Yeah, that's it. So that's beautiful, man. So hey, listen.
I always tell people, start where you are. A lot of people, they get embarrassed about their financial situation and they won't tell you the truth sometimes, but just start where you are. Wherever you start, we're here to help. We're trying to help you get to wherever you want to be. We know you're not where you want to be right now. Start wherever you are. Don't be ashamed of your situation. Just be honest about it. You have to be honest about your situation if you truly want change.
Yeah. Like you said, you just start where you are. Like, wait, you don't have to be great to get started. Right. But you have to start to be great. Right. So if you want to get great at your finances.
When Michael Jordan first started playing basketball, he wasn't the Michael Jordan that we know of today, right?
Nope. Hey, listen. You ain't the Dale Morgan you were until you started the journey, right? I'm not who I am today until I started the journey. So yeah, this is great. Now I can see we about to get started. I can see as we about to go and start running. So hey man, as we close this session, this episode, again, this is your Brothers in Influence podcast. I'm on here with Dale Morgan, financial literacy coach, guru, with Foundation 47 LLC. So look him up. But hey, Dale, how can people in the audience find more about your business and kind of follow you?
Okay. I'm on social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, or they can go to my website at www.foundation47llc.com, or they can email me at dale.morgan@foundation47llc.com as well.
Awesome. Hey, listen, y'all heard it from the man, right? Y'all heard it from the man. He's got a book out, Who Influenced You. Get a copy of that. I'm pretty sure you'll find all that in the information he just provided. If you're looking for someone to come out to your organization, to your school, whatever, to talk about financial literacy, reach out to Dale Morgan. He has all the tricks, the game. He has everything you need to understand what it looks like to, again, when it comes to life, leadership, and community, financial literacy is very important, right? And as he said, it is key, right? It is key. So listen, thank you for tuning in. And as always, y'all stay safe out there. Be blessed. Hey, we're out.
Thank you.